Hello everyone. Today we are going to see yet another important topic which is related to JSON. Therefore, here today we are going to see how we can create a JSON data from a given JSON schema. Therefore, we have in the previous video we have seen how to validate a particular JSON data using the JSON schema. If you have not gone through that particular video, I would just recommend to go through that video. I will just put the link in this description itself. And now today we are going to see how we can create a JSON data from a JSON schema. Therefore, you are provided with a JSON schema which defines the structure of the JSON that defines the properties of the JSON with the default values of the particular fields. Therefore, with those information in place, in the schema file, how we can create a JSON data out of it. For I have written a sample code for the demo purpose, and let's see step by step how it is being done. Therefore, here I have defined a schema string. Therefore, I have defined it as a string. Either it can be defined in a file which can be read in the code. For the matter of simplicity, I will just define it as a static string. For here, I defined the JSON schema, which defines the what is the type of the JSON data that we are going to get and what are the properties involved in that particular JSON data. So I have defined these properties as countries and address, and in turn, what all these countries will contain and what all the countries comprises of. Those are defined inside this country's schema. So similarly for the address, what is the type of the address property and what all the properties are contained within this address property, which is defined here. And in turn, their individual property type and the default value, if it is there, it is defined in that particular schema. If we have gone through the schema in our previous video, what is the schema and what is the structure of the schema, we have gone through that. I will not be repeating it here again. And then comes the next part is to pass this particular JSON to convert this string JSON schema into a JSchema object. Therefore, that can be done using jschema.parse. So this is kind of a static API which parses this particular string schema and converts it into Newtonsoft or JSON JSchema object. Therefore, what we are getting is a JSchema object. And I have written a static class to generate the JSON document given the JSON schema from the J schema. Therefore, what this particular static code will do is it essentially takes in the JSchema object, and it is kind of a recursive function, and it passes through JSON schema from the top level, and it tries to see each of the node type, what is the type of the root node. If the root node is of type object, then it tries to create a new J object here. And for since it is an object type, it will have different properties within it. If I am trying to iterate over all the properties which are defined in this particular JSON schema, for example, if I take this root object, so this is of type object and it has these properties called countries and address. Therefore, what this particular guy will return is jschema.properties will return the list of properties which are defined. Therefore, these properties will be a list of JSchema properties, which in our case it is countries and address property. What I'm doing here is through each of these properties, I'm trying to add into a J object. Therefore, this is just to convert that property key into lowercase, and this again I'm recursively trying to call this same API again with the value of this property, because this value we don't know that what all values are contained within those properties. Therefore, this it can be a nested JSON data where that particular property field can be intern an object. Therefore, to intern an object on an array. Therefore, to support that, I am trying to recursively call this generate to support that particular thing, so that each of this object value can in turn be a complex type. It recursively calls this thing, and again the cycle repeats. Therefore, that's with the JSON object type. And similarly with that array type, I'm trying to create a new J array type. And for each of the item in the J array, for each of the item in the J array, I'm trying to call generate, again recursively call generate, and try to add into this array and return this array back. Therefore, that's how it is being done. For this simple types, for the simple types, I'm just returning the value. I'm just trying to pass this value and encapsulate inside this J value token and return this particular value back. That's how I'm doing it here for the simple types. For the complex type, I am trying to again call the generate, recursively call generate. That's how it is being done to form that particular hierarchy out of it. So you can actually go through this code. I will be posting a blog post where this particular code is present, and I will be posting the link to that blog along with this video in the comment section. And therefore, you can go through that particular blog and you can take this particular code to for your use cases, etc. So that's how it is being done. And then once we get that particular, we what we get is a J object. Whatever we get is a J token we will get. That will be a J object or a J array depending upon the root type. If the root type is an object, like in our case it is root type is an object, so we will get a J object. If the root type is an array, we will get a J array. Therefore, we will get that J token here, and I'm converting into a string representation, and that's what I'm printing it in the console. Now let's fire this particular application up and see what it is printing. Therefore, JSON document, we got some JSON document, and we will see what we are getting. Therefore, this Visual Studio 2022 gives a good visualization support to visualize some complex data types. Therefore, here there is an IEnumerable visualizer which will try to which will help us in visualizing the complex data type which is contained in that data container. So here it is comprising of multiple J tokens. Therefore, this is the one of the J tokens. This is a J property which is having the key as countries and its value is null. And another J token is address. This is a root level property that we have defined the schema, and it has sub properties as well, which is address value in itself is address value in itself is of type an object, and it has the following properties called house number, street, city, country. And this house number is having the default uh, value as 100. Therefore, it actually we can see all the properties associated with the J token, whether it has values, whether the what is the path of that particular J token, etc. We will be able to visualize it nicely. Therefore, here we will just try to print it in the console, and let's see what in the console we will get. We will get a string representation in the console. So in the console, we will get that we will get that JSON formatted document. We will get it. So this is the root level true properties, and these are the nested level properties. This 100 is coming from the default that value that we have specified in the schema. Therefore, for the house number, it is of type number, and we have specified the default value. Therefore, while generating the JSON, this default value will be added to that particular uh, uh, property. That's how that 100 is coming. So that's it for today's video. And if you like this particular content, do share with your friends and colleagues, and try to like and subscribe this channel so that you will get notification on this kind of videos in the future. Therefore, do leave a comment on your thoughts about this particular video and further on topics which you wanted to discuss or you need to know. Which all topics you need videos on, you can just post your comments there. I will be happy to go through them and try to post videos on them. If I know the subject, I will try to post videos on them. Thank you. Thank you for joining.